Bills Pod Squad is brought to you by the New York Lottery. Play the new skee ball scratch-off game and you could catch up to $60,000. You must be 18 years or older to purchase a lottery ticket. Coming up on this week's episode, Buffalo native and rap artist Benny the Butcher, who discussed his upbringing in Western New York, his rise to fame, and how his mother played a big role in him being a Bills fan, is on today. Kim and I then go into our favorite concerts we've attended, and we'll dive into another edition of Ask the Owner. This week's Bills Pod Squad kicks off now. Welcome into Bills Pod Squad, presented by the New York Lottery, a podcast about way more than the four quarters we see once a week. Maddy Glab and Bills owner and president Kim Pegula here as your hosts. You guys, I am geeking out about our guest today. We have Buffalo hip-hop artist Benny the Butcher on today. He talks his career in the hip-hop industry, his love for the Buffalo Bills, and much more. But before we get to Benny, we've got to rehash this Week 7 win that the Buffalo Bills had themselves. The Bills beat the Jets 18-10. They are now 5-2 on the season. Kim, it might not have been like the most gorgeous win. We kicked a lot of field goals in the game, didn't get into the end zone for a touchdown. But hey, you get the job done. We were talking about it's a division game. These games are very important. Whatever happens, you just need to walk away with a win, and that was what they were able to do.
No, that was definitely the conversation we had in our owner's box during the game is that, listen, I don't care if we win by 1 point, that it's the win that at the end of the day that matters. So, I will let Coach deal with kind of how the game was executed, but certainly, and it wasn't as bad as maybe some people had thought.
Wasn't.
It was just a kind of a tale of two halves. And what I love about the way we played is the fact that, when we needed it the most, the defense showed up.
Yes.
So, and did their part. And sometimes, not all three components of the team align, right? Defense, offense, your special teams, they don't always all align together in the moment during a game. And so when one is down, you need another one to kind of lift the others up. And certainly that's what happened today. And I think that's probably the thing that I'm taking away from it is how each part did their part when it was needed and more when it was really, really needed.
And I think we were waiting to see this defense come alive, and they completely did that in the second half. They looked like the defense that we remembered from last year, the top three defense that we had, and the defense that can be a top three defense again this year. I think they allowed 4 total yards of offense in the second half against the Jets. That is completely amazing. Jerry Hughes had himself a game in, and Leslie Frazier, to your point, the defensive coordinator Leslie Frazier said in media availability on Tuesday, he was explaining, I kind of wanted our defense to be on the field to finish out the game because I think that confidence in finishing out a game, relying on your defense this season, that can help them momentum-wise moving forward into the coming weeks where we're playing some talented teams.
Yeah. And Tyler Bass, oh my gosh, welcome to the NFL as a rookie this year, called upon to make the field goals. And listen, that no matter how long you've been in the league as a kicker, to be asked to kick that many field goals in one game is hard, is very hard. And I think it's going to give him confidence going forward. Certainly, we always talk about how, there's nothing like real live games. You can't practice for those, right? You can kick as much as, and I saw him kicking during the warm-ups, and you can do as much of that as you can, but there's nothing takes away from the live experience of it. And certainly he got he got baptized at that game. So definitely, yes.
Yeah, 6 field goals made, ties a franchise record with Steve Christie, who also made 6 field goals against the Jets just way before Tyler Bass's time. So crazy that happened, but we've got a top 3 this week, and since we have an artist on, we're going to talk some music. Our top 3 is brought to you by Connors and Ferris. This week's game sponsor is also Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys. So this week we're going to do top 3 concerts.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Probably tough to nail down into 3. But what do you got for your first one?
Okay, so are these in order? Just kind of, I'm probably going to do this random.
Let's just throw them out there, random.
Okay, I think I'm going to do random because I really don't know how to rank them. So I'm going to say, okay, I'll do it by kind of timing.
Okay.
So the first concert I ever went to with Terry was a country music group called the Kentucky Headhunters. And I don't think they really have any music out in a while.
I don't know if I've heard them.
In a while. Well, that's kind of the difference in our ages is showing up here, Maddie. But they were a group called the Kentucky Headhunters, and the reason it was a fun concert, but of course that was when I was dating back in the day. So, of
Ooh,
course,
ooh la la.
that's a memorable one for me. So you can know how long ago that was. But I'm going to say
Stop.
the first one is, kind of is always
Was
the
this
one
in
you
Buffalo?
remember. It was somewhere in Western New York. I
Okay,
don't
cool.
think it was in Buffalo, though.
Nice.
So.
All right, mine in no order, because this is hard to group as well, I think, has to be Blink 182.
I know who that is.
So, yeah.
I know who that is.
I went to a Blink 182 concert. It was, I'll date myself, not really date myself, but it was my senior year in high school. They came back together for their tour where they were all going to play again, going around the United States, and we heard that Blink 182 was coming back together for a final tour, at least during that time, and so we were like, we got to go to the Blink 182 concert. Went to it in Chicago, which is where I'm from, sat out on the lawn with a bunch of my friends from high school, and it was so amazing. They played for a long time. They have some great songs, so really enjoyed that concert. It was, I think, the second concert I had been to. I think my first one was a Brad Paisley concert, so
Okay.
Blink 182 is my second, and really enjoyed it.
I didn't even know they broke up and came back together.
They'll take time and not do anything. They just put out some new music, and then they'll come back together. They've been a band that's been around for a long time. So
I will say probably my next one I'm going to say is the Rolling Stones concert here in
Ooh.
Buffalo at the stadium. The thing that I wasn't always just a huge Rolling Stones fan, just know the obvious kind of popular hits. But what I remember about that game is how people of my generation and my age were freaking out and acting like they were 18 years old during the concert. It was hilarious. It was great. I mean, that place was packed out. It was just a fun atmosphere, and like I said, and just fun to see all these middle-aged women and men of all different professions acting like they were back in high school again. So
Oh my
a lot
gosh.
of fun memories there. Some images I don't want to remember, but but that are still there.
that does sound like a fun time. My number 2 is I saw Outkast in 2014, I want to say.
They were fun.
This
They,
is
had crazy. There was a group of them, right?
Yes.
They had, like,
So they hadn't performed in 20 years, and that was the first concert they had done together in 20 years. It was at Coachella. So I went to that music festival.
You went to Coachella?
I did go
really?
to Coachella. I want to say I went to Coachella when it was still cool, because now it's just like a bunch of younger people running amok and with no parents. But that lineup that year in 2014 was a really great lineup. I think it was one of their best in the last 10 years, I want to say. So Outkast was one of the headliners. It was a lot of fun. We camped. We did the whole thing. It was my senior year in college, and so I pretty much took 2 weeks off of school. I did Coachella, and then I went to Mexico for spring break, and it was just like, see ya, classes. But it was a great time.
Nice.
Had a lot of fun. There was a dust storm during Coachella that year, and we forgot to close our tent, so we came home from the night of concerts, and we had like an inch of dust in our tent that night. So I slept in dirt and felt disgusting, but you know what? That's just Coachella. So
Okay.
it was worth it to see Outkast because they were great.
Well, fun. I've heard of Coachella. My younger self wishes I was, young to be able to do those kind of fun things, but I never got the experience. I had aged out of Coachella a long, long time ago. So
You come along next time.
well, now I'm probably going to get to my last one. Is probably going to be, I'm going to say Elton John here
Ooh.
at KeyBank Center, because we were told it was his last and final tour, which I didn't realize he was going to do the whole tour twice. So it really wasn't his last. But just a music legend. Some of his songs, just standards across all genres and time. How can you especially if it's his last performance, how could you not just go if you're able to? So I'm going to say that was kind of my last one. And just amazing to see somebody, listen, no offense to you, Maddie, but I hope when I'm in my 80s, I'm not doing this podcast still. So
Come on,
I can.
Kim. I thought we were going to start
I'm
this
sorry,
year
I'm
and go on
sorry.
forever, you and I.
But to see someone who has the music and the influence he's had and still performing, year after year, still doing something. I mean, the passion and the love that he has, because you just, to be able to keep doing that, performing and singing, and it's crazy at that age. I was truly amazed by it.
And like we heard from Benny, which we'll get to with his interview soon, it's a lot of work to be in the music industry. And to be Elton John, you think maybe you just like want to be on a beach retired, not
Yeah.
having to worry about creating music or singing some of your old songs and touring the country over and over again. I'm sure it's fun. It sounds like he's very passionate about it, of course, because he's still doing it.
Yep, that would be my third one.
All right, my
What's
third
yours?
one is J. Cole. So I saw J. Cole a couple, 3 or 4 years ago, I want to say, at Lollapalooza. So it was my second music festival that I had been to. I've only done Coachella and Lollapalooza. Would like to check some more off the list, but I kind of feel like I'm also getting too old to go to festivals like that. But Lollapalooza is in Chicago, so it's really cool. It's like set in downtown Chicago. So it was awesome to see J. Cole, a headliner at night. You have the skyline of Chicago that's lit up. He came out in a Michael Jordan jersey. I think he's one of my favorite hip hop artists to listen to. We got a really great seat in the house. Of course, we were standing, so we had to arrive like 2 hours early and wait, but he was a lot of fun to see. We also saw Red Hot Chili Peppers, who was one of the headliners for Lollapalooza that year too. So I've seen some good concerts, and the festivals have provided that. You get your bang for your buck. You get to see a lot of people.
Well, we're not experiencing it now during this pandemic, but Buffalo has always been such a great place for acts to come in. Some great concerts throughout here, and Buffalo fan base has always been really supportive of the music industry. So I've got to see a lot of concerts in the last several years. So
that's one thing that I've really been looking forward to, and I haven't been able to see anybody here yet because of COVID. So hopefully COVID can just wrap it up, and we can move on with going to concerts and things like that, because I do love going to concerts.
I think Justin Bieber was supposed to be here.
Yeah, that was one that I had circled on.
He still has it on the schedule, I think, for the following fall. So yes, let's hope we get back to that music. Just it's just such a big part of our lives, just like sports is. So
totally.
Want to get back at it.
100%. The Buffalo Bills are proud to partner with National Grid in promoting the Safety First initiative, where every time a Bills safety makes a tackle at home, National Grid will donate $50 to the 100 Club of Buffalo in support of first responders and their families. National Grid reminds you to put safety first in your home with this easy tip. If you come across a down power line, keep everyone away and report it immediately to your power company. All right, here's our interview with the guy who has a new album out. It's Burden of Proof, the Buffalo guy. His name is Benny the Butcher. Benny, we are so pumped to have you on here today to talk about your new album, being from Buffalo, your come up in the hip hop industry, and more. But first, I want to start with your new album that's out, Burden of Proof. It's out now, so if you haven't listened, people who are listening to our podcast, you need to listen to it, because this album is so good. I've had it on the repeat the last 2 weeks. I think a few faves for me are Thank God I Made It, Famous, and Timeless. But I think every song you can really bump to, and that's what I've been waiting for this year for music, is that one album to come out where songs 1 through the end, you can listen to them all, and I think Burden of Proof is that for me. So I'm excited to have you on, because I absolutely love this album. So I want to ask you about it. What story do you think it tells? What does it say about a kid from Buffalo who's making it in the hip-hop world?
Thank you, first of all. Second, I just think that it tells you that, no matter what, keep trying and keep pushing and keep going, because you didn't cross the finish line yet. As long as you're waking up every day in the morning, you never cross the finish line, and you're still capable of doing everything. And it's a lot of times I had to prove that to myself, and I think it's dope that I put together a piece of work that I could show that to the world and inspire people, because that's what it's really about. I was just inspired off my own situation to be able to be in a predicament that I'm in. So I just wanted to pass it forward and just give people good game and instruction and on what I did to stay down. So it's all about, like you said, it's all about the hard work, the grit, you know what I'm saying, that got me here. Buffalo is not a place with the big flashy lights. So it's all about hard work, and my hard work shine through everything.
Well, Benny, you talk about, how you got to where you are now with the new album, but take us back to when you first started. Did you always want to be a rapper? Is this something, did you have different dreams, or how did you get into the music business in the beginning?
Man, going back, well, West Side Gun and Conway, those are my cousins, and they always was into rapping, and I'm a few years younger than them, so I kind of like had to like sneak and try to do what they did. They used to try to keep me out, but I kind of like forced my way on them, and they made me a part of it. And I kind of realized as I got like 15, 16, 17, I kind of realized like, yo, I'm like better than average. I'm good at this. So I always wanted to do it. My father was a big hip hop fan. He was a DJ. He used to have a turntable set up in a kitchen. So I kind of feel like I always wanted to be a rapper since day one. And I just got in by, West Side Gun signed. I always used to do things for the radio station. I did shows, but professionally I got in. West Side Gun signed a deal with Shady Records. And then I signed with Griselda Records, and then I played the background, but, worked hard through everything and grinded my way to the front. You know what I'm saying? So just shout out West Side Gun because he signed that deal and then he brought me in.
I think it's so cool that this is in the family for you. It started off with West Side Gun and Conway the Machine, your cousins, and you guys all working on this together. The album Burden of Proof is produced by Hit Boy, who's a big name in the rap industry right now. I mean, producing for Nas, he's had a big year, that you could go and call him one of the producers of the year. And this album features so many big names, Benny. I mean, Lil Wayne, Rick Ross, Big Sean, Freddie Gibbs, Don Kennedy. You can go on and on. What is all these names say about where you're at in your career right now, to be able to pull these names and put them on an album like this and decide to, right now, let's get these names, let's call these guys, and be able to produce something with several names?
It's just me getting my chance to shine amongst the other stars. You know what I'm saying? To be in a position where I worked with all the people who I grew up with locally. Now I'm at this high platform, and guys like Rick Ross, Freddie Gibbs, and Dom Kennedy, Queen Naija, Lil Wayne, Big Sean. It's like those are like my new colleagues now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I meet these guys and passing through studios, and I see these people all the time. So it's like, yo, I'm fans of theirs, they're fans of mine. It's like, yo, let's collab, let's put something together. And you know what I mean? It just came out great. And I'm just thankful I'm just really just still happy to be here. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just taking it all in. So it's just
Maddy
good to work with those dudes.
Maddy and I were talking earlier, and I mean, I can barely rhyme, and that's about it. So I have no skill set whatsoever. You completely beat me on that. But I do know, as you go through it and you write your lyrics, like how do you decide what you're gonna rap about? Like where do you find that inspiration?
See, as a writer, I found out that I want to be a writer that pulls emotion from the reader. I want to evoke emotion in the things that I say. So that's why I talk about being on tour with a big rap group, but still living in the projects. That's why I always revert back to my past, how things were before I was here. And, I just try to pull emotion from my listener. You know what I mean? A lot of dudes is into the party music, and I love the party music. I listen to it all the time, but I'm speaking more on like issues that's going on in the world, and, speaking for like a lot of people who don't have a voice, who don't have the platform. So I'm just trying to speak real things and tell stories about my daughters and speak as a father and speak as a son, as a brother. Because, a lot of people can relate to that. And, you know what I'm saying? I feel like that's kind of like my cheat code, because a lot of people can relate to that. So I use like the real stuff a lot.
I think that's really cool, because I feel like hip hop artists and rappers now that we're seeing today who are on the come up in this industry and busting on the scene, they're a one hit wonder. They're those guys who put those songs together, and the lyrics don't necessarily hold that much weight, and they're making it off of a beat that's really catchy. For you, the lyrics hold a lot of weight. You have a sound that's hard. It has a lot of energy. It's old school. It's grungy. How do you feel like that sound kind of represents Buffalo?
Man, just how you said, it's just like the grunginess of it, but still it has a beauty in it that only a certain type of people can enjoy. A lot of people come from the big cities and they don't see that the gem that Buffalo is, but people from cities like ours who's not as big as the giant cities, they come and they love Buffalo because they can see the beauty of it, and they almost wish they were from Buffalo. Like all my friends coming from around the world, they like, yo, when you taking me to Buffalo again? I'm like, man, just chill. It's cold there right now. But it's like, I think there's like the rolls out the concrete. There's always beauty and like the ugliness and the gritty dirt of something, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like my flow represents the city in that way, you know what I mean? Nobody ever feel like a guy, a 35-year-old guy my age could make it to high as the Billboard charts as I did from Buffalo. A rapper never did it from Buffalo. So it's like, it's beauty in the things that I'm saying, and I'm just happy that people could find it.
Benny, I'm not sure if you know, but I own a music label myself. My husband and I do. But it's in Nashville, and it's in country music, so a little bit different genre than where you're from. But I know how hard it is, one, as a musician, as a rapper, as an artist, to make it, even on the Billboard, to make it. There are so many artists out there with great talent who just, like you said, whether they're not working enough or whether they don't believe in themselves enough,
right.
But it is hard. So congratulations on that. Just kind of being in the music industry with all the people that you've met. But also you also have your own label. Is that correct?
Yes, I do. I signed a label deal, BSF, Black Soprano Family, with E1. And I love Entertainment One. You know, they're a TV company too. Sean, Allen, Abe over there, and those guys helping me, you know what I'm saying, bring my dream to life. And I signed a talent from Buffalo. I'm also looking for more talent. And, you know, I just love it. You know what I mean? And it's hard, though. I'm not going to lie. It's hard.
It is hard, believe me. Yes, no matter what genre you're in. It's owning a music label is not easy, but very rewarding. So that's great to hear. You kind of, not only as an artist, but then you're getting into the business of music and then helping others. Like it seems like that, you know, especially since you were inspired by others, you're kind of paying it forward with signing new artists. I don't know. Are you going to be? You got anything for us, Maddy?
I don't got anything. I'm an avid listener. I love to listen. I love to consume music, specifically in the hip hop industry. I think what people are putting out is so cool. I love a story behind an artist. And Benny, I think your story is so cool. Just seeing where you're at, like you said, you're 35, but you still have so much left in the tank, and I think Griselda does too. They're really bursting onto the scene right now in the music industry, and I think it's awesome that you guys are in your 30s. I mean, you look at the projects you've produced, and you guys have been releasing stuff since like the mid 2000s. It's not like, hey, we just started to like make music 2 years ago. No, you guys have been in this for so many years, and I think it says so much about your work ethic, your hard work. It's not a glamorous industry by any means. I mean, you have to grind to be able to get where you guys have gotten to, and it's awesome to see the success that you're starting to have. I want to point to a lyric that you have in one of your songs. You say, "I never think I'd make it out of the hood. I don't feel how I thought it would because I don't feel famous." What can you say just about that mindset, that work ethic that you've truly had to have to burst onto the scene in the last few years, really seeing it now with this album being Griselda's highest charting Billboard 200 debut?
Just like almost have to have blinders on because there's so much going on around me and there's so much people dependent on me that I just had to put blinders on and had to work through a lot of things. And had to build my team together. And really, I was just the determination. That was big for me, the determination, especially when I see things happening around me. I see people doing great in the music industry around me, and I have access to those guys to get advice and have conversations with those guys. I pick all of their brains. Like my music industry friends, they probably sick of me because I call their phones. I ask them 1,000 questions all the time. Just using that around me, but really just the determination, you know what I'm saying? It's like people didn't understand like how I was in the studio every night, 3, 4 in the morning, but still wasn't getting paid at that point yet. And I just had to tell people like, of course, like you're putting in the hard work now so you can get paid. People think like being a rapper is hitting the lottery. You know what I'm saying? But it's not like that. It's like so much work to be done. Even now for me to hit the Billboard charts where I hit number 27, now everybody's looking, now we even got 3 times more work that we got to do because now we chasing number one now. So it's always new goals to chase, and that determination and that fire in your stomach is going to be, as a rapper, as an artist, is going to be your best friend. You know what I'm saying? You just got to feed and just be relentless, and you got to, you can't let everybody else make the decisions for you. It's really tricky, man. You got to be hungry. It's tricky. I'm not going to lie.
Well, Benny, it kind of sounds like, you're talking about an athlete. You kind of sounds like, if the hip hop world and your team was, was a football team, you would be the quarterback. From some of the attributes that you just talked about, some of the same things that we see in our players, especially, Josh as our quarterback leading that team. How did you become a Buffalo Bills fan, besides the obvious of you being from Buffalo? But what is it about the team that just kind of endeared you for life?
Basically, well, I became a fan from my mom. My mom was just so serious about it when I was a kid.
Moms are the best.
She was just so serious about it as a kid, and I realized, this was something serious. But going back in the day, to the Super Bowl runs with Thurman Thomas and Steve Tasker and Jim Kelly and Darryl Talley, all of those guys, that was inspirational. That put the city on a high horse. And even to the days of Doug Flutie, you know what I'm saying, with the Flutie flakes and just everything that like the team just give the city so much hope. And I remember, man, the guys coming to my school, you know what I mean? Like when I'm in 7th grade, and that was just so crazy. And I remember taking my mom, going to the first game with me and my mom, and just, she the one made me a fan, and we just at the stands. It was when we beat Green Bay a couple years ago, man. The weather was terrible, and it was a real game. It was a real perfect game to take my mom to, because we didn't want to go to a game where the sun was shining. We wanted the elements. We wanted to go to a real Buffalo Bills game, and just those guys are so inspirational. You know what I'm saying? My favorite player of the team right now it gotta be Deion Dawkins. Like, his character is so big. You know what I'm saying? That guy I just find myself, and it's crazy because he's a lineman. Like, I would really watch the game and be paying attention to him because he just be tossing people around, and I just love that. And Josh Allen, I can tell, like, he's different. He's alien. Like, he got balls of steel. You know what I'm saying? And there's just so much that you got to do just to be a football player. I don't know how them guys do it. They are giants. I don't know how they do it.
Did you ever play football when you were younger? Did you ever aspire to be a player someday instead of rapping?
Yes, I did. I definitely used. I used to play for the Bengals. That's a local team in Buffalo. Man, I wanted to be, but I'm not big enough. I don't. You know what I mean? I'm not there. I would hate to have somebody like Tre'Davious White trying to tackle me, somebody like that. I can't. I'm too small.
What is it like to be from a city that has an NFL team that's also on the rise like your career is? I mean, they're 5-2 right now. Do you connect with any of those guys on social media, on Instagram, text back and forth? I think that's pretty cool to have a football team and an artist like yourself. I feel like there has to be some connection there.
Definitely. Deion is my favorite player because I got to know him as a friend in his character. So I know the man behind the jersey, Cody Ford. I live next door, like down the hall from a Bills player, and then I just be wanting to just knock on his door and talk football, but I'm like, that'd be creepy. You know what I'm saying? But man, a lot of these guys, man, I never met Micah Hyde, man. I'm a big fan of his, but I'm just a fan. Like, I want to meet all of those guys. I think Sean McDermott is doing a great job. Even I'm sorry, I'm about to fan out for 2 seconds. Like,
go for it,
Miss Kim. Like, even what y'all done, like, as a person being from the city, like, we can't thank you enough for coming in and you guys buying the team and doing what y'all did with the team. It's like we can't repay you enough for things like that. So we grateful.
Well, thank you. And we love having people like you representing Buffalo and our community out there, because like you said, not everybody has the same understanding of what Buffalo is really about.
Yeah.
And people like you,
Right.
Benny, that go out there outside of the Western New York walls and represents the city the way you do. It's great to see.
Thank you.
Well, we got to talk about this Bills Mafia merch that Kim and Benny are rocking today.
Yep.
They must have called each other this morning and told me.
We did. We coordinated.
Didn't include me in the
Although I didn't get the
situation.
accessory. I didn't get the accessory.
You need yourself a
that Benny
chain.
has, the gold chain there. So.
Benny, what do you think of it? So the Bills have collabed with Bills Mafia to create some awesome merch, and I'm sure many other things on the horizon, but you have your hands on some of that gear. You're repping one of the long sleeves right now. I guess, what do you think of that collab and some of the merch that they've dropped through that Bills Mafia?
Man, I love it. It's so dope. Like the stitching on it, the feel of it, the varsity feel. All of this is quality material, and it feels good, and it's nice, and it's like sticks to my body, and it's just comfortable, and I love it. I mean, I got other stuff in the closet, and I just think it's dope because Bills Mafia, like whoever came up with that is a genius. You know what I'm saying? And I just love it that the team came together with the fans to put something together, and that's just dope. Nice quality material.
Well, like we talk about Bills Mafia really means family, and you, of course, Benny, are part of this big family. So we love that you're representing us in the Bills Mafia and wearing the clothing, just like I am. And Maddy, we need to get you some.
I know. I got to get some. Maybe next episode I'll rock some. We can have Benny on again next episode. You can just be a reoccurring guest.
I'm coming back. I'm coming back.
I'm
doing Jalen and Jacoby like tomorrow, and I'm gonna be talking heavy Buffalo Bills talk. Bills talk.
Heck yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I need to stop. I be in the Facebook Bills Mafia group chats talking and everything. I really just need to take a break.
That's so great to hear just how big of a fan you are of this team and just with the success that you've had in the hip hop industry. I want to ask you something that's really been on a lot of our minds here in 2020. We've seen the NFL and several different professional leagues this year actively play a part to help end racial injustices that we see in this country every single day. The rap game, the hip hop industry has always played a part in this. Your lyrics tell a story of the injustices that you've faced as a black man in this world. What do you think about the big leagues finally starting to put their foot down and helping a cause that needs everyone's support to stop it?
Man, I think it's dope. I think it's beautiful. You know what I'm saying? And it makes me feel together. I mean, I don't know how to describe it, but I could say together. That's how it feels when you see the guys in the NBA wearing the signs on their jersey, and you can go to the NFL. You see the NFL games. You see the things on the sideline. It just makes us feel together. It just changes the narrative. That was set. You know what I'm saying? That a lot of us didn't put here, but we faced to deal with it. So just togetherness, and that's just the point of everything anyway. Just more togetherness. So I like it.
Well, thank you, Benny. We really appreciate the time that you've been with us. I did not listen to your new album yet, but I certainly will, especially now that I've met the man behind the music. I'm sure my kids are going to actually be jealous. But I do appreciate a good lyric. I do appreciate meaning behind the words.
Yeah.
And we thank you so much for representing Bills Mafia, for representing our community and the rap world.
Benny, before we close out, I got to ask you got anything on the horizon? I hear there's a collab with Drake coming soon. Is that something we can expect? What can our Buffalo listeners expect from you here in the future? I know you just dropped an awesome album, so we can listen to that for quite some time. But what's next for you right now?
Yeah, definitely new music coming up. And I definitely sent in something for Drake's album, and he sent in something for mine. So hopefully, this industry is crazy, but hopefully we get to put these records out because they're dope records. And, he's from Toronto, and it's still like a Greater Niagara thing. And I want to put that record out, and the people are going to love it. It's dope records. And he's announcing his playlist soon. So maybe we'll see Benny the Butcher on there, and I made his album because he's definitely making my next project. You know what I'm saying? So definitely.
That would be amazing.
Always
working,
looking forward
like
to you said, always working. So great to see.
Benny, thank you so much for the time. An awesome conversation. Can't wait for everybody to hear what you had to say.
And we will have you back, Benny.
I know. I like this partnership here.
I do. It's part of the family. So
I'm coming back. We got to have one matching gear again. I'm coming back.
Heck yeah! After COVID's over, you got to get yourself over to the facility too.
Yeah. We'll
I got that nice set up there. I like that set. I'm coming.
Yeah, you can lay some tracks down from in here. How does that sound? I don't know if this is the best recording studio. I mean, I'm sure you've got way better, but come on over to a One Bills Drive and hang out on this set.
Yeah, I'd like to hear a Bills rap about the Bills, at some point.
Ooh.
So
I'm
maybe
working
next
on
time.
that. I'm working
All right,
on that.
Okay.
That's
all
a
right.
good idea.
Next time.
That's a
I
good
love
idea.
it.
Okay.
See,
Thank you, Benny.
You say if you're on the label, you came up with a good idea. That's a good
There you
idea
go.
right there. Working
Next
on
thing
it.
you know, we're
Loading.
going to have Kim featuring on one of your next songs.
I know. Definitely know that's not going to happen. So, well, thank you, Benny. It was such an enjoyable time spending with you.
Thanks,
All right,
Benny.
thank you, ladies.
See ya.
Bye. The New York Lottery is giving away $50 worth of the new limited edition New York Series scratch-off tickets with a chance to win up to $1 million to one of our lucky listeners each week. Visit buffalobills.com/New York Lottery or click on the link in the podcast description to enter now. Okay, Kim, we have a fan question.
All right,
we
hit me.
surveyed our fans, wanted to see if they had any questions for you this week, and we did get one pretty interesting one from Anthony Riscati. He wanted to know, from a Bills financial perspective, what are some unique revenue streams that come through the Bills? And I feel like just revenue streams in general, just like with NFL, I feel like as a fan, even I just get confused or really just don't know, like, okay, you kind of know how money is made, but I feel like with an NFL team, there's several different revenue streams, things you can lean on, and of course, things that you probably can't lean on this year with COVID,
well,
unfortunately.
there's many things we can't lean on this year with COVID, but in a typical year, obviously everyone thinks about ticket sales, right? Ticket sales, the obvious, and the broadcast rights, is the obvious. I would say one thing though that each market, locally can do, but one of the things, did you know that we are available, our facility is available for weddings?
Ooh,
and special events,
hey
and actually
now.
it is very popular. So we have had, I know last year we had the wedding
Yes,
on the
at
field at
halftime.
halftime.
That was
Yeah,
insane.
that was just like that was crazy. That was so much fun. But we do have our events is one of the ways that we utilize for a revenue stream. Events from everything from weddings to birthdays to just meeting space. Trying to utilize the facility beyond just the Sunday game is another way to do it. And we did the club, the Duntire Club probably almost 3 years ago, maybe now. We did a major renovation in them to help, utilize that space for other events throughout the year. So we also, we've rented out before the training center, so the AdPro Training Center. We've rented out then RV shows and teams, some sports teams, high school teams have used it to rent out for indoor practices. Hey, I am up for renting out my office. I don't know what it's going to fetch, but maybe like without any ticket sales or things like that this year, I'm going to be like, hey, come in if you tired of working from home, you can come in, rent out my office, new revenue stream. I don't know. I'm going to
work out of Kim Pagilla's office for a day. I'm sure people would. That sounds quite interesting. Kim, you have a really nice office, so I'll be the first person on that list. I will pay you in high fives.
Okay. I'll take it. I'm in need of some high fives lately, so I'm good.
So this week 8, playing against the Patriots, we've heard Coach McDermott say, and all the players and all the coaches, in their mind, and rightfully so, it's just another week, it's just another opponent. But man, there is something that has already got me really excited and hyped to play the Patriots this week. It's another division game. It's a game in which we haven't beaten this opponent since 2016. Sean McDermott hasn't gotten a win yet against the Patriots. So there's a lot of things on the line here that I really think could happen against the Patriots right now, just because of the state that they're in. They're 2-4. Cam Newton has struggled the last couple games. What do you think about this matchup? Are you as excited as me with what could be here?
Oh, no, definitely. Listen, having to play the Patriots twice every year, getting the results that we have had even before, before we even bought the team, knowing that kind of, was kind of on everybody's back having to deal with. So it's always fun. I mean, fans used to come out, and this was one of the highlighted games, just to be at the game that you beat the Patriots. I mean, that's just like on people's bucket list, right? These days.
Yes.
But like you said, now just like everything, seasons turn, and now this is a different team. But it still doesn't matter who the quarterback is or who's not, who the quarterback isn't. Just the fact this is a division team and a team that has kind of had your number for so many years. I will be happy to get the W from them any which way we can. So this was the first game when Terry and I bought the team, and our first home game, it was against the Patriots. So so this has, some meaning for us as well.
This has a star next to it. And of course, there's no Tom Brady on this Patriots team, and they look a lot different on defense. They had quite a few opt-outs because of COVID, but even saying that, Bill Belichick is still going to scheme up a good game against the Bills.
Of course. And of course, coach is right and the players are right to think that mindset, because it is not easy. There should be no assumption of wins no matter what a team's record is. And so they need to do that. Focus on the W, focus on what they need to do to beat Belichick and the Patriots. But as a fan, I'm all in.
Go.
I'm all in for any gloating or any just
trash talking over here.
Yeah. I'm happy to do that.
Speaking of trash talking, from an owner's perspective, I feel like the Bills and Patriots, it's like, okay, let's beat this team. We haven't beat this team in a while. Let's get a good win against them, because even the last time we beat the Patriots, it wasn't really a true win because Tom Brady wasn't playing in that game. But now it's without Tom Brady, but we can still get a good win against this team. So what's the relationship?
Was that last one? It wasn't at home though, was it?
It was in 2016. I don't think it was.
I don't
was
think,
at
I
home.
think it was
I'm not
away.
positive.
Yeah, so
though.
this would be a home game.
But what's your relationship like with the Krafts? Is it like a relationship like the fans have with the Patriots? I would assume it's a lot better than that.
No, yes. As owners, we are much more civil. So, and I usually, like I said, he always comes to the game. He lands in his helicopter, and we're gracious to allow him to kind of land it close to the stadium. He's done that ever since we were here. But like I said, he was one of the owners that Terry and I talked to before we were voted to be the new owners of the Bills. He was on that committee, and we went around, and one of my favorite memories is that, so Terry and I, we're not the owners yet. We're in the bidding. We had won the bid, but, had to go through the NFL kind of, guidelines for ownership. And so we drove there, and we met Bob Kraft at their stadium, at his offices. And at that time, we had our dog. So our dog, Sydney, who's no longer here with us, and I remember it was a hot day, so we're like, we can't leave him in the car. Mm-hmm. And so we're like, to the secretary, like, can we bring our dog with us, right? And I just remember going up there in the office door, and Bob's sitting there like, oh, you brought your dog, just out of the blue. They probably have never had a dog in the office. I don't know. But he probably thought we were kind of nuts. Like, okay, wait, this is the new
Pegulas,
yes, who are these people? They want to be owners. So, but he was, like I said, he was very gracious to us and really made us feel welcomed, at least off the field. And he has his son, Jonathan, who also is very big part of the team operations. And, I just love, those family dynamics, the clubs. That's what I always love about the NFL, the clubs having families. So you can certainly see that in their organization. So I do have some fond memories of Bob, like I said, off the field.
That's really cool. I mean, yeah, I feel like the sport in general, from team to team, is a family in a lot of different ways. There's so much crossover in this league with coaches who have coached together and players who have played together, whether that's collegiately or on the same team in the NFL. And it's nice to hear that from an owner's perspective. A lot of these ownerships are as a family, and you have kids that are in the business, or it's been handed down through a family member, and just the fact that you guys are able to keep up with each other in some perspective, when you meet together once a year, but also just playing against the team. It's nice to be able to catch up here and there, I'm sure.
Well, and you have to respect what they've done in the league. I mean, the amount of Super Bowls and championships and the records they've all broken, whether it's, divisional championships, they certainly have left a mark, the whole organization, on the NFL, and that's going to be really, really hard to beat. So there is a healthy dose of respect for what they've done throughout the ownership that he's had.
Well, I think they're going to hopefully respect the Bills after this game and how far this team has come from Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane entering one Bills drive and completely, and you, Kim and Terry, just changing the culture here for the better, bringing the right people in, bringing the right players in. It's going to be a good one.
Yes. And I do think that continuity, right, as we've seen, I think that is something that I think people recognize, but even more so this year when it's not there, how much of that was so important to their success. The relationship between coaching and the quarterback and the ownership, and just kind of as that team, how long they've been together, how much knowledge they know about each other, the relationship they have with each other. Certainly that was a big part of their success.
Yeah, that is so true. Well, I think that does it for this week's episode of Bills Pod Squad. Kim, it was so great to have Benny the Butcher on. He is such an inspiration, I think, just looking
You were
at his
geeking
story.
out. You were geeking out.
Yes, I love hip-hop music. I was like so excited to have him on. I haven't been that pumped to interview someone in a while.
He was so excited to be on as well. So it was great to have someone who represents Buffalo, and like you said, just so many commonalities between his experiences, what we feel Buffalo is all about, and then having someone at that top of the game in the rap world representing Buffalo is awesome to see it.
It's so cool. It makes you proud of the city. It makes you proud of Buffalo. It's really great. Good for Benny the Butcher. Burden of Proof is out right now. Kim and I are going to leave you guys, but thanks for tuning in to Bills Pod Squad. Don't forget to tune in next week because we'll continue to have some really cool, different guests on this podcast. It's been fun so far.
All right. Thanks, Mad.
Thanks, Kim.